every day between now and 2030, a baby boomer is turning 65. So they're going to retire. And organizations around the entire world are really grappling with this challenging issue. And it's not only who's going to tactically do the engineer, the accountant, and so on, it's who's going to step up and lead these organizations. I mean globally, who's going to, in a very short order, try to gain all this experience and become a great leader. I believe and I hope that the millennial generation are the ones that are going to step up to the plate and make it happen. I truly believe this. They're the most diverse group. They're the most educated group. Their communication tools are unbelievable. And they have this strong social conscience. And when you stack all that together, they have the capability to be able to step up and do that. What I'd like to do tonight is share with you my journey and hope that you could take some of the things I learned and use them to start building your solid foundation for great leadership so that the millennial generation can truly become the greatest leadership generation of all time. When I started my career, I started as a frontline supervisor and worked my way all up to the GM of the global supply chain in aviation business. I had the opportunity during my 34 years, every couple years, I had another job. It was a little bigger than the one before, so I was gradually able to progress and grow as a leader. The challenge that millennials have today is they don't have that luxury of time. They've got to hurry up and get there in a hurry. So for all of us, it's a challenge. And for what I'm trying to do here is help them with that. I have 5 elements of leadership I want to share tonight and have a few stories along with those. The first one I've learned over time is you need to set a vision and you need to communicate that vision and you need to execute on that goal. Jack Welch was my CEO for a while, never met a man better at these 3 things than anybody else. He said it, he talked about it every day, and when he came to see you, you better be executing on it. It's the toughest one of all. It's the one that's the most challenging, but it's something you have to do. If I go back to my first job, and some of you millennials will understand, I was a frontline supervisor. I was 26 years old, and I had 35 men working for me in a very traditional factory. They were old enough to be my dad. So isn't that weird? I was like, okay, these 25 men, every day I got to tell them what to do, and they're as old as my father. Every Monday I got a sheet of paper. This is before computers. Used to tell me, here's what your requirements are for the week. So I would get this, and I'd work on it and work on it and work on it. And finally, after a month or so, I said, well, I'm going to share this with my team. First time I gave it to them in a meeting, guess what they did? They wadded it up and threw it at me. They said, hey, college boy, you know how it works around here? You're management. It's your job to worry about the responsibilities. So there I am, 26. I'm shaking in my boots. Now what am I going to do? All right? But over time, I worked with them. I didn't give up. I gave that sheet out. I went through it. In the end of the 2 years, when we got finished, 80% of those guys used that sheet every day. They helped me and the team succeed. There were 100 units in the facility in the company I worked in at that time. Those last year I was on a job, we were #1 every week on commitments. It wasn't me, it was them because they took the ownership, they took the responsibility, and they made it happen. That's the power of setting a goal and making sure everybody understands it. Second element is being fair. If you're a leader and nobody trusts you, you're not going to go very far. You're not going to connect with people. It's not going to happen. And when you think of being fair, it encompasses a lot of things. One of them is diversity. Obviously, another one is sharing and listening and getting out with your people or wherever they are and trying to hear what they're trying to say and understand what it is and make those changes. And then lastly, it's all about doing the right thing. I think your generation is right on this one for sure. Don't do it. Don't do the political thing. I think do the right thing. So when I think about diversity, my first year that I got to go to the big GE senior leadership meeting was in Florida. It was in 1999. When I went there that year, talk about diversity, there were 500 people in a room. They were all white males, and they all had a navy blazer on, and it looked like me. 2013, the last year I went before I retired, guess what? 500 people in a room again. This time, 40% of them were women. 55% were from other countries. And guess what? GE's revenues were 70% US in 99, 2013, 70% global. Diversity works. Don't just talk about it, make it happen. And when you talk about doing the right thing, I share a small, my wife and I, who's in the audience, we've been married 39 years. We still get mail home. If it's got her name on it, I don't open it up. You know why? Because it's her mail. Respect people's privacy. She gets a ding on her iPhone, I don't run over there and answer it. I respect her privacy. As a leader, you need to respect everyone. But also as a leader, you better be transparent, because whatever you put in a blog or a tweeter or whatever, a twit, you're going to be, right? Whatever you, people are going to measure you because you're the leader. You need to rise above that. So be sensitive to whatever it is you do. When we talk about being friendly, who wants to work with a negative person? Raise your hand. Nobody does. And everybody knows who they are. And there's not very many people. But they come in a room, or they come into the meeting, and oh my God, here they come again. OMG, here it is. So as a leader, it's your job to bring positive energy every day. Be on your game. Be ready. You can make it happen. And it goes a long way. There's never a problem that can't be solved. There never is a problem. And you as a leader got to make sure you show that. Reward and recognize, very important. And then obviously having some fun. Short story on reward. During my career, I managed thousands of people all over the world. Greatest job I ever had. I mean, the whole thing was great. I used to handwrite a lot of notes, probably thousands of notes. Handwrite them. Sometimes I mail them to their house someday. I went to a retirement party a couple years back. I went there. I walk in. The guy says, "Oh, Bob, I'm so glad you came. I got something I want to show you." I said, "What's that?" And I had not seen this fellow in about 6 years. He reached in his pocket. He pulls out a note. He says, "You remember writing this note?" I wrote the note 15 years ago. He said, "Nobody ever wrote me a note like that." His wife was standing next to him. He said, "This is the man I was talking about. This is one of the best leaders I ever had." The three of us stood there. I had tears in my eyes. We almost cried. You tell me that you don't make an impact with people. It isn't about the big reward. It's about recognizing and personally connecting with people. It makes a difference. As a leader, you have no idea the impact you have on people. And it being fun at work, I've done a lot of crazy things. I've dressed up like Santa. I played the Easter Bunny. I did all that kind of stuff. Even when people would say, "Oh," but one thing I will caution a lot of people about is on leadership, don't be phony about things, okay? If it's not naturally fun for you, then you don't have to do it. You can participate, but you don't necessarily have to do it. Bring that human side. Your people will respond to you when you show you. And if you make a mistake, admit it. People understand you're human. Showing that human quality goes a long way. The other thing I talk about is you got to create a family. You got to have a winning environment. You got to take, okay, we're going to get this done. We're going to make this happen. And along with that is identifying and growing talent and identifying these skills. Not everybody can play first base. I hate to use business or sports analogy, and not everybody can be the catcher. But as the leader, it's your job to identify and understand people's talents. And at the same time, help them with their talents. Mentor, coach them, provide them. Put them in jobs and positions where they can excel. Sometimes it means you have to move somebody from something they think they belong to, but they don't. But identifying and taking care of your talent will go a long way. And make it a priority. Make it a priority. Because let me tell you what, 10 people can do a heck of a lot more than one really good person. I'll take a team any day, and I will win. And I think building that team is all about success. People like to win. I've been all over the world. People say, "Oh, you ever watch a World Cup?" They say, "Oh, Spain, they won, not this, Germany won this time, but Spain won the other." You walk, "Oh, they're taking a siesta." That's a bunch of bull. Did you see how crazy those people are when they won? People like to be associated with a winner. So help your team win. Be a positive leader and help your team win. The last was faith. And it's not necessarily religious piece. It's all about knowing who you are. If you're not on your game every day, if you're not, just like you take your iPhone and you plug it in, you got to do the same thing with yourself. You got to recharge your batteries. And there's all kinds of ways to do that. You can volunteer. people like to read, people exercise, people have a cause. All those things are great. For me, I started growing a garden a couple years ago. And I started off with 2 raised beds. Now I got 5, and my wife said, that's enough. I can't do any more. But it's a fun thing. I wake up in the morning and go out and see, hey, how many tomatoes did I get last night? But it's a time where you have to do something for yourself to be able to cleanse yourself, replenish yourself, so that next day, when you're back at the office or back where it is you're leading your team, you're refreshed, because you have to be on your game. Trust me, everybody's watching it. Everybody knows where the boss is. I know it for a fact. I used to travel these plants. I'd go there. They even knew what I liked for lunch. It'd be somebody in Germany, or I'd be over in Asia. They'd have what I like for lunch ready. People like to know what the boss wants them to do. So be positive and be energetic. In closing, I have something here I want to read. When I retired, I got all kinds of trophies and plaques, and in my basement, they're all down there. I hit some big numbers for GE, billions of dollars a lot of time. But you know what? That doesn't mean anything. I remember, but I don't remember a lot of stuff. I remember all the thousands of people that worked for me. And I had this letter that was sent to my house. And it was from a person, and this is what she said to me. And this is what I remember, and this is leadership. She says, every now and then, we are fortunate enough to work with someone who inspires us, guides us, and touches us in a way we never expected. But at the same time, they challenge us to be a little bit better every day. She said, that was you, Bob. Now you tell me that leadership doesn't make a difference, so I want to see you millennials, and it's not my hope, I know you will. Take leadership seriously. It can change the world. You can make a difference. You can take a politician and turn him into a statesman. You'll be able to go to Wall Street and really be transparent. You really can make it happen. Inspire people, coach them, and teach them. I know it can be done. Thank you very much.